Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. First of all, thank you very much for all the questions that you've asked over the last 2 weeks. And also an apology. I thought that people would kind of dig doing an interview with Brad Burton. I had a lot of people asking me about how to become a professional speaker, so I thought that would be interesting. Turns out it wasn't. Almost nobody watched last week's Q&A with Brad on it. So there you go, you learn something every day. I won't be doing any more interviews with business people on this channel. I just thought it'd be something that people would get a kick out of. I have got 2 weeks worth of questions, so there's a whole bunch of questions to get through. Don't forget, if you've got a question, leave it down below in the comments, because then I can answer it for next week. Make sure it's in the comments of this video. There's a lot of comments on this channel and I sometimes miss them if they go on other videos. And yeah, if I miss a question, I'm not being rude, I've just missed it. Please ask the question again. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to get straight on with the first question. So the first question is from Sam Fuller, Illusionist. How you doing, Sam? Hope you're okay. And his question is, any recommendations on how to get video footage of yourself at gigs? Absolutely. Anyone who follows me on social media, not the Magic TV stuff, but the slightly unusual stuff, will know that I'm a big advocate of getting videos and getting photos, and especially videos of yourself performing. I mean, the best way to really get more gigs is by having lots of video footage, because that way you can send video footage over and over again to clients, let them see exactly how much people are enjoying what you do, and there's always something that you can put on social media. And it is the question, isn't it? How do you get footage? Well, back in the day, it was very difficult. Now it's not, because now we carry around a video camera with us everywhere we go. And of course, I'm talking about your smartphone. I use an iPhone. Whether you use an iPhone or an Android, it is a great way to get video footage. So it's got to be framed in the right way. So let's say that you're performing at a wedding, right? What I do is I wait until I've got a good group. Now, some weddings, every group's going to be a good group, but we've always been there where there's a group that's maybe kind of half into it, but not really that much. You see, I want to get the best footage that I can possibly get. So I wait until I've found a group, I'll do my opening routine, and if those guys are really into it and I'm getting really good reactions, I'll say to them, by the way, can you do me a favor, guys? I've been hired by the bride and groom, and they're so busy, they might not get a chance to see me performing because they're having photos and cake and there's a lot going on. So you, sir, can I ask you to hold this camera and point it at sort of me and them, and kind of keep it on my hands where I'm doing the magic, and then after the gig I can send this footage onto the bride and groom, and it'll be something that can look back at later. No guest is ever going to say no. They've been invited to the wedding by the bride and groom. It makes sense that this is what you're doing, and it's something that I've never had anyone say no to it. And so what happens then is they will video it, and I'll do another couple of routines to that group, and maybe 2 or 3 routines depending on how many people are at the gig, and I'll just take the phone back and I'll say, thanks very much, really appreciate that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And normally, because they're on camera, they'll react even better than they would do normally. I do instruct the person to hold the camera horizontally. I'm like, all you have to do is take that camera and just point it at me. Just make sure you're holding it this way, and that's fine. That's because a lot of the footage I use goes on YouTube, where you want to kind of have horizontal video. If you're putting it on TikTok maybe, or you're putting it on Instagram, maybe get them to hold it vertically. But yeah, I mean, that is a way to guarantee to get tons of really good footage. And what I do whenever I upgrade my phone, I just have the maximum storage that I can possibly get. And then when I get back from a gig, or after a weekend's worth of gigs, all I'll do is I'll just airdrop that onto my Mac, and I'll just go through the footage. Any good footage, I'll just WeTransfer it or Dropbox it over to the client, and I'll just send them an email going, hey, thanks very much for performing at for booking me to perform at your wedding. Here's some video footage of your guests having an amazing time. Thank you once again. But then I'll hold on to that footage, and I will say to every single group I perform it to, hey, would you guys mind if I put that up on my my Instagram or my YouTube? No one has ever said no. So yeah, I mean, that's a way to get tons of footage, and then you can just have that footage in files on your computer, and you can just look through it over time, and it's just great. But it's not just weddings; it works at corporates. You know, same thing. Hey, I've been hired by the MD to come and perform for you guys, but they're really busy. They're trying to organise the whole event. Would you mind if I got you to film this so I can send it to them so they can know that they booked the right magician? Would that be okay? Awesome. So that's the line that you want to use, and you will get so much footage you won't know what to do with it at all. It's just about having the balls or the guts to go and ask them to film it, but you don't want to just go straight in with that. Hi, my name's Craig, I'm the magician, film this. Build up a relationship with them first, get them to realise how good you are, and then give them a reason to film it. Don't just say, can you film this please, but give them a reason, and then you'll get as much footage as you want. So there you go, Sam. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so the next question is from Magic Elliot. How you doing, Magic Elliot? Good to see you. Hi, Craig. Could you expand on your thoughts about Charge Card, please? I purchased it a while ago and regretted it before it even arrived. Interesting. You say it gives magic and magicians some use, worth being a magician for this. If that's the case, are you saying that magic comes from you and not the card? If it comes from you, then why not use any card, debit card, etc.? But if it comes from the card, then it's something anyone could do. If they bought the card, how would you respond to someone who asked if the card was available commercially? I understand what you're saying, buddy. I really do, but I think you're kind of overthinking it a little bit too much. Again, you have to understand your character. Now, if your character is that you're putting across that you can do real magic, for example, then absolutely, yeah, maybe this isn't the routine for you. I've talked on this channel before, my kind of character when I'm performing is I'm almost like a trickster. I don't pretend that this stuff is real. You know, my favorite line to use to laymen is, hey, this is just cheating with style, or this is the reason I had no girlfriend all the way through uni, or whatever it is. I just openly just tell people, hey, you could do the same thing if you spent 15 years in your bedroom practicing. And the thing about being a magician is I like having weird and wonderful objects. Yes, I like having organic stuff. The whole reason for Keymaster, the whole reason for Gossip, the whole reason for Chop, and a lot of the other things I've brought out over the years is because I like to have tricks that are organic. But also, I've got no problem bringing out something that's weird and wonderful, because as a magician, I love the idea. I remember the first time I saw the Harry Potter film, and the first Harry Potter, the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone, whichever way you want to look at it. And I remember seeing, all of the shops with all this weird and wonderful stuff in, and it kind of is. I like the idea of turning around to people and saying, well, one of the cool things about a magician is you have really cool toys that you can get that nobody else has access to. It's like being a giant geeky 007. Let me give you an example. Have you ever, and this is why I love the charge card thing. Have you ever being in a situation where your phone has run out of battery? Well, everybody's going to say yes. Everyone's been in that situation when they run out of battery. Well, as a magician, we can do something about this. You see, this is a charge card. You can only get these if you're a magician, but it actually charges your phone up. Would you like to see how it works? Obviously, it's magic. And if you want to go down the route, you can be cheesy with it and take out a magic wand and tap it, and you go down that route if you want to. But I just like showing people really cool stuff. When I'm going out to a gig, I like showing people really cool stuff. And I like that hook line, because I think that half the battle when you're performing to people is have them relate to something that you're doing. And that hook line really gets people to relate to the thing. And then when you show them this, if people say to you, is it real? Well, yeah, it's real if you're a magician. You can't get these in the shops, though, only if you've got magical powers. Do you have magical powers? No, whatever it is, very tongue-in-cheek. I'll be honest with you. I mean, this isn't a thing that I'm going to open my close-up set with. I'm not going to open my set with, hi, my name's Craig. I'm the magician here today. How you doing? Hope you're well. By the way, have you seen my charge card? But the sort of thing that you throw in, right time, right place. I did it at a wedding the other day. At the end of the gig, I was just waiting around, and the bar staff came over and said, "Oh, you're amazing." It was actually an open air thing, and they got a catering company in, and they were the bar staff, and it's like, "You're amazing. Can I show you something?" And I was like, "Yeah. Actually, let me show you this." And I did this charge card thing, and it went really well. It's not a thing that's going to kill every single time, but I just love the idea of showing people something and going, "Oh, that's really cool." So I understand where you're saying if it comes from you, why not use any card? I totally get it. But I tend not to overthink stuff that I do that much. As long as my ultimate goal is to entertain people and make sure they have a good time and leave them with a sense of wonder. And if I can show them something that's obviously a magic trick. I mean, I'm there as a magician. I've just made coins jump from one place to another. I've just made a card appear and a number in the deck that they freely named. Obviously, I'm doing magic. If I can show them something and they go, oh my gosh, that's really cool. And I don't know because I've only just started doing charge card, but I reckon it's the sort of thing that people will tell everybody. Oh, you're not going to believe this. He had a card and he held it to his phone and it charged his phone up. It was really cool. And you know what? I do gigs with other people. Sometimes I quite often gig with people like Nemid and Steve Della and Alex Foden. I would absolutely love to set this up on their phone as well. And I'd love to engineer a situation where, you can kind of talk about pickpocketing. And you go, well, because I do some pseudo pickpocketing stuff in my close-up act, I love the idea of saying, well, you've seen a pickpocket steal a wallet. You've probably seen a pickpocket steal a tie or a belt or something like that. I can actually steal power from a phone. Does that sound ridiculous? Let me show you. And then get my friend to have their phone out and get them to do the thing. And so that the power drains off their phone and then I take it and put it in my phone. I think that'd be really cool. And you know what? If there was a way of doing that without actually having a stooge on it with you, that'd be even better. Hey, that's a nice idea creatively. If anybody's got charge card, let's see if we can work out a way of doing that. Steal the power, apparently, off a spectator's phone and put it onto your phone. Interesting. But yeah, hopefully it answers your question. I love it. So the next question is by Gert Jean Sangrien, who says, cubes are attractive. Yeah, I kind of agree. What regular cubes, brand and model, do you and Ryland use for an ungimmicked cube magic? Well, you know what? Me and Ryland both tend to use the Henry Harrius's RD, regular RD, just because we're always doing cube magic alongside gimmicks. So it's nice to be able to have a cube that works as a standalone cube, but I know that I can also ring a gimmick into it anytime I want to as well. If I'm just messing around with the cube, which I do quite often, I've got a Diane Zanchi, which is my favorite cube. Ryland has got some insane cubes. Like he's constantly using his pocket money to buy new cubes, and he's got some insane fast cube. And the one that we bought him for his birthday last year was like 50 quid or something like that, and it's like melted butter. I can't remember the name of it, but it's insane. But I use a Diane Zanchi when I'm messing around. I used to use a stickless cube. There you go. When I first started performing cube magic, I used to use a stickless cube, but everyone thought it was a gimmick cube because it didn't look like the cube that they thought it was. People have an image of a Rubik's Cube with stickers on it, right? So you bring out a stickless cube, people think it's tricky. So I switched to a stickered cube, but a lot of the time now when I'm going out gigging, I use the regular RD cube. Okay, so the next question is by Nate Myers. Hey Nate, the question is, do you have a favorite holdout or utility device? Also, do you have a favorite deck switch method with or without a device? So first of all, do you have a favorite holdout or utility device? Yes, no, yes and no. I don't really hold anything out. I've got to be honest with you, Nate. I don't hold anything out at all. I've just bought myself a Blackbird, actually, which I'm quite excited about because, I quite like the idea of this Blackbird thing. But if you've ever seen videos of me performing when I'm at gigs, I'm normally in a shirt and tie or a waistcoat and a shirt buttoned open or a black t-shirt, and I have a suit jacket on top, and I roll the sleeves up of my suit jacket because I like people to think that I'm from the 1980s. And because I do a lot of magic that's really visual, rolling the sleeves up really makes people realize that there's nothing up my sleeves. And you know what? As magicians, we know that rarely do we use our sleeves, right? It's a technique that hardly anyone ever uses. But the amount of people that when I perform, they go, and his sleeves were rolled up. Because laymen think that sleeves are part of the solution. It's kind of, as a layman, you have certain things that you go to. And one of the things that laymen really go to an awful lot is sleeves. And if you're performing and you've got your sleeves down, even if you're not using your sleeves, I guarantee that there's a percentage of people that you're performing for that think that you're going to be using your sleeves, if that makes sense. So because I roll my sleeves up, a lot of the holdouts tend not to work, and I'd rather have the ability to roll my sleeves up than not. I'd rather have the ability to roll my sleeves up, if that makes sense, than have a hold up that uses my sleeves. However, two things that I have used quite regularly. One that I'm not using at the moment, but I happily would, and one that I'm continuing to use right now. I do a lot of stuff with pool balls. Which is why I bought out a project called Pool Ball Miracles many, many years ago. And I don't like having the pool ball in my pocket. I just think it kind of gets in the way. So I don't like having the pool ball in my pocket. So when I put Pool Ball Miracles out, I taught people how to make a pool ball holder. And it's, even though there's pool ball holders that are commercially available, this is the pool ball holder that I have always continued to use. And that is to get yourself a black sock. Ideally a woman's sock. I stole Sarah's sock when I did this. Get yourself a black sock, just cut the toes out of it, and then cut up to about the heel, right? So you end up with a little bag with a small hole there. And then all you do is you just take some safety pins, and you safety pin it so that it's just above the inside of your jacket, slightly back. So, and you just drop the pool ball into there, right? Okay, so you just drop the pool ball into there, and then to get the pool ball, all you have to do is drop your hand to the edge of the jacket, and you just squeeze on the sock, and what happens is the sock will keep the pool ball in place, but when you squeeze it, it squeezes down through the hole that you've cut in the toes, and it comes straight into your hand. So you can grab it really, really easily, which is perfect because I use pool balls in card routines, coin routines, a whole bunch of different stuff. But it's so easy to make. You just literally squeeze, drop straight into your hand, and to reset, you just literally just open up your jacket and drop it back in again. So that's something that I've used for a long time. I've also used TKO a lot in the past. I'm not using it at the moment, but is it Jeff Kahler's TKO? That's an incredible prop. It really is. It allows you to do an awful lot. And in the past, I've used Top It. So I used to be a regular Top Itter. After watching Patrick Page's Top It DVD, and then Michael and Mars stuff, and then David Penn stuff, I spent a lot of time working on Top It routines, but I haven't probably used the Top It now in a couple of years. But I would happily use it again. It's a little bit restrictive. But the thing that I'm always carrying around with me is the pool ball holder, which you can make out of a sock and a couple of safety pins. Okay, so the other question that Nate asked was, what's my favourite deck switch method with and without a device? Got to be honest with you, dude, the more often than not these days, I will use just pure, misdirection to switch a deck. That's absolutely the best way to do it. So a lot of the time these days, let's say that I've got a deck here and I want to switch that deck in during the course of a routine. A lot of the time I'll routine my act, or I'll routine the trick so that I've got a logical reason to go into the pocket. So there's a couple of routines that I do. I've got a colour changing deck routine that at some point is coming out with Alakazam. And that colour changing deck routine uses a deck switch at one point. And you've got a perfectly naturally motivated reason to go into your pockets, if that kind of makes sense. An absolutely perfectly naturally motivated reason during the course of the trick. And when people look at it, they don't even think that it's a deck switch, because it's done on the offbeat. So it's done when people aren't looking for it, if that makes sense, because the focus is put somewhere else, and there's a reason for me to go into my pockets at that point. And really, that's the ultimate way to do a deck switch. Think about your act, think about when you want that deck coming in, and is there a way to routine your act to bring a deck switch in during the course of a routine without using a gimmick. Now, if I want to use a gimmick, I did a video on this in the past. There's a few different deck switches I like. I like the cooler. I remember the first time I saw the cooler, I was actually blown away by it. Ryland uses that an awful lot. I have used it in the past, and I would continue to use it. And I really like Greg Wilson's deck switch. That's really cool as well. But you know what? I don't know how many people are aware of Simon Lovell's material. If you aren't aware of Simon Lovell's material, you really should check out some of Simon Lovell's stuff. But there's a routine that I still do to this day. I haven't actually put it on this channel, I should do. And it's called Packed Wallet, or Packed to Wallet. And the whole idea of the routine is Simon brings out a wallet and he shows it, and he shows that there's nothing in it. He puts the wallet away in his pocket. He has a deck of cards that's in play, it's been shuffled, he's done whatever with it. He has someone pick a card, the card gets put back in the deck, he loses the deck, he snaps his fingers, and when he does, he reaches into his pocket and he opens up, and in there is the card. The signed card goes in the wallet. He puts the wallet back in the pocket, and he brings focus back to the card. He puts it back into the deck. He snaps his fingers. The deck disappears, and when the deck disappears, you reach. There's only one card left, which is their card, and you reach into the wallet. You reach into your pocket, and now in the wallet is the rest of the deck. And it's a fantastic routine. It's a super commercial routine, but it's a great way to actually ring a deck in, if that makes sense. It's a great way to ring any deck in, mnemonica or whatever. So think about how you can actually build that into your routine. Anytime you're doing a deck vanish, you can reproduce that deck. So let's say you're doing I do a multiple selection routine where the deck vanishes at the end. Well, if I take the cards out the case and I hand the deck to be shuffled, and then while the deck's being shuffled, I just put the empty card box down on the table, but I go to put it away and actually I'll put it on the table. But I've put a deck of cards in there. That's the cooler that I've put in there. The deck that I'm switching in. You take the thing, you do the multiple selection routine, you vanish the deck at the end, and then you go, well, the question is, where's the deck? Well, hang on, I took the cards out of the box from the very, very beginning. It can't be. You've opened up the box and now the deck's inside there, which is a killer routine, but now you've switched the deck in. So that's my advice to you. My advice would be, think about how you can routine your set or your act, so that if you want to do a deck switch, when can you actually do that during the course of your act? So the next question is by DavyBoy12. How you doing, buddy? And the question is, what are you practicing right now? Well, that's kind of interesting because I'm practicing different stuff all of the time. I'm working on a couple of routines at the moment. I'm working on a really nice 3-phase, it's kind of like a transposition of a signed card. And it uses some techniques and some principles that I don't think people have seen before, and that's really cool. And I'm going out and working that. I've got 7 shows over the next 5 days, so I'm going to work it in all of those shows because I think this is something that would be really cool for Netrix. And so if it works out like I think it will, I'm going to work it in over the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then possibly include it into Netrix. But that's something that I've been working on for a while. I'm really happy with the routining behind that. But in terms of what I'm actually practicing right now, I'll tell you what I'm practicing. And I want to shout out thank you to Nemid Phoenix for helping me with this. And there's a lesson to be learned from this. I'm practicing this. I'm practicing a double and a triple lift. But I'm practicing a particular type of double and triple lift. I'm actually practicing a strike double. And there's a reason why I'm practicing a strike double and a strike triple. And the reason is, I have always, my entire career, ever since I got into Magic at the age of 18, I have always done my double lift exactly the same way. And the way I've done it is by getting a break and not using a little finger pull down, but just getting a break. So I could be taking that card off, showing that one, pushing and pulling and getting the break. Or a lot of the time, I'll just lift up at the back of the deck. Now, that is absolutely fine for the real world, because anyone who's seen my live videos will know that I'm very good at misdirecting people. I'm very good at having conversations and looking at people directly in the eyes, and nobody will ever notice me lifting up with my thumb at the back of the deck like that. And I've never had a problem with it. Well, since performing on YouTube and doing a lot more stuff on YouTube, it's been pointed out to me on various videos, and you are right, that this way of getting a double isn't the best way of doing it for YouTube. And it's right. I've never really needed to do it a different way because it's never been something. I'd rather have practiced something else, because that other thing that I'd rather practice is probably more beneficial for me. But now that I'm doing a lot of stuff on YouTube all the time, I think I need to have a decent strike down. Well, my choice was either a strike or a push off, and I prefer the strike for a few different reasons. I weighed up the pros and cons. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just practicing over and over again all of the time my strike double and my strike triple. I want, which, if those of you that don't know, it means that I'm just grabbing a double lift with no break. So I'm just coming in and I'm just striking it, and I can get it 9 times out of 10 now. I'm still not perfect at it, but I'm hoping that probably by the middle of August I'm going to get into a position that I'm really happy with it. The nice thing about this is I can, in a gigging situation, I can go and do my strike double, and if I miss it like this, I can just put the card back and I can get myself the way that I've always done it. So, I'm actually going out and doing this in gigs at the moment, and I'm very happy with how it's going. But that's what I'm practicing at the moment. And I think we constantly have to be looking at what we do. And I think we constantly we have to keep improving what we do, especially based on the environments in which we perform. And because I'm now performing in a situation where I'm actually got cameras burning my hands and it's more difficult to misdirect them, I think I need to be able to do a strike double. So there you go. That is what I'm practicing at the moment. I am practicing a strike double, and my friend Nemid helped me refine my strike double. So thank you, Nemid. What are you guys practicing at the moment? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so the next question is by Mr. Harmon. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Mr. Harmon, here's another question for you. How much is the Netrix going to cost? Very good question. And a question that we've been debating back and forth at the moment. We want to make it so we're not making a loss on it. That would be a nice thing. But we also aren't really too fussed about making profit on it. It's really just more about making sure that everybody who's involved is compensated accordingly. And I really believe that I want it to be somewhere, I want it to be the ultimate platform for this. And we want to be constantly, you know, like with Magic TV, you know, you guys know by now, I've been doing this for almost a year now. You know by now that I'm going to be putting up videos every single day. You know that I'm not going to miss a Sunday. I'm not going to miss a Friday. You know I'm not going to, come rain or shine, I'm going to get that video up on that YouTube channel. I think I've bought myself, if nothing else, a little bit of, I think people can trust that I'm going to actually do what I say when I say it. Well, with Netrix, we're aiming to have it launch with about 100 different routines from various different creators, including the massive Slight schools, including all of the marketing stuff and all of the theory. But then we're gonna be constantly uploading more stuff. Like every month, we're planning on uploading maybe another 10 or 20 different tricks. Like we want to give massive value. In terms of how much it's going to cost, we don't know. I will let you guys know as soon as I know. It's going to be very reasonably priced, and we're going back and forth. There's definitely going to be a couple of different tiers. And because different people want different things out of it, and we're going to have this whole live session every single week that not everybody is going to want to be involved with. I don't know. So we're going to have lots of different tiers. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is a good price? Think about how much tricks are when they come out these days, bearing in mind we've got some of the best creators on the planet that's putting content on there. There's going to be so much stuff, and there's going to be more stuff going on there every single week. Think about how much a download is. How much do you think Netrix should be per month? How much should the monthly subscription be for Netrix? I'd love to know. Let me know, because I want this to be more than just a membership site. I see people doing membership sites, and that's cool. This is not a membership site. This is so much more than that, which is why I've spent the best part of a year putting this together and building the infrastructure behind it. This is something really special. And the people that I've got involved, I've already talked openly on my social media channels about John Carey and Chris Congreve. Those are the two names I've announced, but there's another 3 or 4 names I'm going to be announcing over the next week. If you want to know who else is involved in Netrix, then make sure that you follow me on Instagram, because I'll be talking about it on Instagram first. So there you go. Let me know in the comments down below, how much do you think it should be? I've got my ideas, but I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Okay, so the next question is from Fanboy476. Hey, Fanboy476. This question is, on your Talk Magic interviews, you ask people what is on their magical bucket list. What is on your magical bucket list that you haven't yet achieved in Magic? What a brilliant question. Awesome question. Absolutely fantastic question. There's a few things that I do want to achieve, and I'll happily go through those with you now. So first of all, I'd like to do a US lecture tour. I would love to do a US lecture tour. Ideally, a couple of them, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. I've got friends all over, and I would love to go and visit those friends, and hopefully that's something that I can achieve. I'd love to be able to do a lecture tour. I'd also love to perform at the Magic Castle. I would absolutely love to perform at the Magic Castle. It's something I've never done, but I would love the opportunity to perform at the Magic Castle. So that's number 2. Number 3, I would love to be invited to go to 4F, which again has never happened, and I think I'm good enough. So I'd like to get invited to go to 4F. Also, I would like to lecture at Blackpool. I would really like to lecture at Blackpool. That would be something that would be super exciting for me. And I would also like to do a Penguin Live. I'd like to do a Penguin Live. I've done an At the Table. I'd like to do a Penguin Live as well. I'd like to go over to America and do a Penguin Live. So Penguin Live, Magic Castle, 4F, Blackpool lecture, and whatever else I said. Oh yeah, a lecture tour around America would also be really cool. Those are the things that I've kind of got on my bucket list that I haven't achieved yet, but I'd like to achieve relatively soon. Oh, and I'd like to do another lecture at the Magic Circle. I lectured at the Magic Circle one time, which was about 10 years ago or so. And on the back of that lecture, I got you know, they gave me an AIMC, which is lovely. I then got kicked out, went back in again, kicked out, got back in again. And now I'm back in and I'm being good, I think. I'd love them to book me again for a lecture. I think that that'd be really fun. I've got a really interesting lecture. Actually, let me talk about that. So I'm wanting to do more lectures next year. I haven't lectured properly for years because I've been very focused on my businesses. But those businesses now kind of take care of themselves an awful lot of the time. So I don't need to be as hands-on with them. And luckily, the team in the office handle a lot of that for me. So I have more free time, hence the reason YouTube and Netrix and so on and so forth. I'd like to do more lectures. I did a lecture at Smoke and Mirrors the other day, hung out with Mark Bennett, hung out with Daniel Chard, and a whole bunch of other guys, and it was super fun. I'd like to do more lectures, but I want it to be different to normal lectures. Every lecture I've seen is the same thing. It's like a dealer dem. It's kind of like, hey, let me show you this. This is for sale. Let me show you this. This is for sale. Now let me show you some things that aren't for sale. And it's kind of all of this, which is fine. I like the idea of Magic TV live. I like the idea of Magic TV live. So yeah, I'm going to teach some magic, absolutely. But I want to take the elements of Magic TV live and I want to bring them into a lecture. So it's almost like watching Magic TV. What would you guys like to see? Like when I did the lecture at Smoke and Mirrors, they did a rant. They asked me to do a rant, so I did a rant. That was really well received, but obviously not everybody likes the rants, and if there's younger people at the lecture, they might not really want to see the rant, or the person that took them might not want to see the rant. I like the idea of having Ryland there and reviewing a trick, but obviously Ryland's only 8 years old, and lectures happen at night, so I can't see how that'd happen unless I have some sort of screen that I take with me, and I kind of do a virtual thing. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking through at the moment, how would I do a Magic TV live? Is that something that you guys would be interested in seeing? And if so, what elements would you like to see a part of that? Okay, so the next question is from Reese Whitehead. With you starting to release new Magic, would you re-release any of your old material that's now discounted or you can't buy at Magic shops? Yeah, I mean, people ask me about certain routines all of the time. And there's certain routines that I'm so proud of that I bought out years ago that I would love to see re-released, absolutely 100%, and I'd actually love to see that. So yes, 100% there's some stuff that I would re-release. I had an interesting conversation with Daniel Chard the other day. So like I said earlier, I went to Smoke and Mirrors, I was doing a lecture there, and I sat down with Daniel Chard and I was showing him some stuff. So I showed him a few things that are coming out. So I've got something coming out with 1914 soon, a couple of different things. I've got some stuff coming out with Alakazam, I've got some stuff coming out with Murphy's, I got some stuff coming out with Penguin, and I showed him some of my new material, and there were other people there as well. And one thing everyone was saying, they were saying, well, you know, the stuff that you brought out years and years and years ago was good, but the stuff that the stuff that you're showing us now, the new stuff that you've got coming out, is a million times better. And I think that's just because I've matured as a creator. You know, when I brought out all of the stuff that I used to bring out back in the day, it was good, but I was quite young as a performer, if that kind of made sense. When I was on the Wizard Product Review, I was in my mid-20s. I'd only been doing Magic for maybe 5 or 6 years, 7 years, something like that. I've now got a lot more experience. I've been doing Magic for 25 years now. And obviously with that experience, and also I've been creating over the last 10 years. So I've still been creating Magic when I left the community and I wasn't really as visible and I was just focusing on performing. I was still creating. A lot of the stuff, you know, you look at Gossip that I bought out, which a lot of people really liked, and I love that. That's like 10 years old. I've been doing that for a long time. There's a routine coming out with, there's something coming out with Alakazam soon, a project. I won't say anymore, but it's a project, and the stuff on that project I've been doing about 6 or 7 years. And I think that all that's happened is I've just got more experience as a performer, and I've got more experience as a creator. So I just think that that necessarily has had an impact on the type of material that I'm bringing out. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, the only thing you can compare it to is Gossip, because that's the only thing I've commercially released at this point. But let me know, what do you think? Did you like Gossip? Do you think it's better than the stuff I bought out back in the day? I'd love to know your thoughts. Okay, so Tyler Lunsford. Hey Tyler, how's it going? Tyler says, will you be going to any Magic conventions in the US anytime soon? I would love to. Absolutely love to. I'd love to. Yes, I went to Magic Live a few years ago. That was great. I'd love to go back to Magic Live. If I could combine going to a convention with a lecture tour, that'd be the absolute best for me. If I can organise like a 2 or 3 week lecture tour that finishes off with a convention sort of appearance, that'd be amazing. Stick that on the bucket list as well, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I am planning on going to some US conventions. When the world goes back to normal, then yes, I will definitely be going to some US conventions. Okay, so another question from Mr. Harmon. Here's the question. Did Stamp go well at my gigs? You know what? I'm going to put a new routine up for Stamp in a bit. I filmed the original routine for a Magic Live a little while ago, but I'm going to film a new routine. I've been working with that Stamp thing for a while now, and I am absolutely loving it. There's so much you can do with it. It's so super fun. There's so much you can do with it. I've got this really nice wild coin style effect, and I've worked out a way of getting it to reset itself almost instantly during the course of the routine. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm working on with it. And there's a lot more to it than people think. There's a lot more you can do with that prop than people think. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the review. Myself and Ryland reviewed Stamp, which I think is Joe Berg, possibly, and it's been marketed by Cranzo Magic or Nate Cranzo. Go check out the review. It's a really good prop, and now that I've used it, I know the reactions it gets. It gets killer reactions. So yes, Mr. Harmon, I've been working with Stamp, and it really works well. Okay, so the next question is Thomas Shelvin. Hey Craig, hey Thomas. What's your thoughts on the mid-2000s show Breaking the Magician's Code, Magic's Biggest Secrets Finally Revealed, and the impact it had on the Magic community at the time? Do you think that Val Valentino was unjustly vilified by the Magic community at the time? Look, here's the thing. I don't remember Magic's Biggest Secrets very well. I didn't really watch them all. What I do remember about Magic's Biggest Secrets is the guy that did the narrating was the biggest pervert on the planet. That's the thing that really struck home for me. Like, he was the biggest pervert on the planet. I seem to remember, hey, now the magician comes out and he's got a girl with him. And he's going to lie that girl down. Yeah, lie that girl down. Now he's going to take a sword and he's going to stab her. Where's your whip, Mr. Magician? Are you going to whip her first? Please whip her. Like, seriously, look back at some of those things. The guy that narrated it was so creepy. He really was. She's going to get hot and sticky in that box. I mean, it was just terrible. It really was. That's what struck me about, I think that's the worst thing about Breaking the Magician's Code. No, I don't remember it well enough to give you an opinion on it, to be perfectly honest. I remember that a lot of the tricks that they exposed were very unrealistic for your average performer. I seem to remember one that struck out in my head was like they had a false wall with a full forklift truck behind it in order to do a levitation. And I remember thinking, well, when are you ever going to be able to do that? Even in a stage show, you're not going to be able to do that very often. When are you going to be in a situation where you can bring a forklift truck on to do a levitation, especially when there's other ways of doing it that are way more commercial? And I didn't see, it's not great. It's not great at all. But again, did he expose bases or that sort of thing? I can't remember. Obviously, it's not good. It's not good. But here's the thing. One thing that I've learned about exposure is that people forget about it. They really do. Like, what's yet today's news is tomorrow's chip paper. How many times have we seen somebody go on AGT or BGT and then the newspaper the next day is like, public, figure out magician's trick. He's just doing this. And then 2 or 3 days later, everyone's completely forgotten about that and they're just talking about how amazing that magician is. So I think people forget that stuff. I know that Valentino, he said that he was trying to make the magic community a better place. He was trying to improve magic and force people to be more creative. I don't know if that's the case. That smells like a bit of bull to me, to be perfectly honest. So hang on a minute, Mr. Valentino. Your goal was to make magicians more creative, right? So if you weren't getting paid for this, would you still do it? Or did you do it because they gave you a big fat pay? And also, if they told you that they wanted you to do it, but you had to not wear the mask, would you do it? I think it's less about that, and maybe that's part of it, but I think it's more about the case that he was given a TV show that he, and he was probably paid decently to go and do it because he was on primetime TV. I think that was more about it. I think it's more about the money. The Magic community can be fucking toxic. So, was he unjustly vilified by the Magic community? I know from personal experience that the Magic community can be horrific when they perceive that you've done something wrong. I don't know, as I say, I don't remember the Magic secrets revealed too well. Did Valentino defend himself to the Magic community? How did that end up? It's kind of something that's not really been on my radar, to be honest, that much. I know that when people attacked me, and I was really seriously attacked for doing the team building stuff with the illusions, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, and nobody asked my opinion. Nobody wanted to know my side of the story. Everybody was just like, "Oh, Craig's evil for doing this. Craig's evil for doing that," and nobody wanted to actually hear it from my point of view. So was that the same with Valentino? I don't know, is the answer. I do think it was probably about money. Hell, that I did my Become an Illusionist team building sessions for money. I could charge double what I did at a normal show. So I'm sure it was about money for this guy. But I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was about money, and it wasn't about furthering the art. But maybe the whole furthering the art thing was part of the reason that he did it. I don't know. The bottom line is no one talks about that program anymore. Nobody will ever, no layman will remember what illusions were exposed on that program. No layman that watched that program from all those years ago will go to a show tomorrow and go, "Oh, I know how that works. There was a program on TV 15 years ago and they exposed it, and I remember that." They'll just forget. People forget. And they just do. So I don't think it's a major issue, to be perfectly honest. Like I say, yesterday's news is today's chip paper. And that's something I've learned about exposure, that no matter how badly it's exposed and on what platform it's exposed, people will always forget about it. They absolutely will. However, it doesn't mean it's right. I've talked about exposure on this channel before, and we shouldn't be exposed. I rag on Justin Flom all of the time. So I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that I think people forget about it if it does happen, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you tell me, has Valentino said his side of the story about all this? It's not something I've followed that well, to be perfectly honest. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag, as Ryland would say. Thank you very much for joining me on this week's Q&A. Don't forget, if you want to leave a comment, please do so down below. Leave a comment down below and ask a question. These Q&As live and die by how good the questions are. So whatever the question is, nothing is off the table. Leave it in the comments down below. And also, don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as I said, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again later on tonight with a review show special, and then on Monday with a 5x5 at 9 o'clock, a short at 2 o'clock, and a live at 6 o'clock. Once again, thanks very much for watching. Guys, my name's Craig from Magic TV.